I know a lot of people are feeling like they need to shy away from that right now, like shy away from the proximity, shy away from speaking out and speaking
Yeah.
truth. And we're here to say, like, no, now is not the time to shy away. Now is the time to get louder. Now is the
Yes.
time to lean in. And we're practicing that. We want to be a part of that and model it while also creating a space for other people to do that too.
We also talk about the performative nature that is happening
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
and how it feels like a lot of leaders are performing. And that is something that people are sick of.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Oh,
personally am.
well, we could see right through it.
You can see right through it.
Welcome to Brave Proximity, the space where leaders and changemakers finally exhale, tell the truth, and get the validation they rarely receive. This is not a how-to podcast. This is not motivational wallpaper or corporate comfort language. Here, the messy, is it just me? Moments become turning points. I'm Marissa Green.
I'm Susan Page, and we are futurists and practitioners who have spent decades inside turbulence, helping leaders who care deeply navigate culture, crisis, egos, expectations, and everything in between. We've seen the gap between what leaders and changemakers feel and what they're allowed to say. Brave Proximity is a place to close that gap. Each episode starts with the elephant in the room, often disguised as a pet peeve, and we follow it to the deeper truth underneath. We do not just talk about leadership. We get close to what leadership actually feels like.
Leadership and corporate changemaking is lonely, but proximity fixes it. Welcome to the conversation. Hey, Suze.
Hi, Marissa.
Hi.
So Marissa,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm proposing to you. No, you were the first person that I felt like I could tell the truth to in a corporate space without being labeled as negative or the sky is falling. And I so appreciate you for that.
I feel the same way. I feel like with you, I knew that it was okay and safe to like push the edges and find new spaces to be able to tell the real truths, to get people to move, to get people to do something differently. I was always really afraid to do that before I met you. Like,
which that in itself tells a story of being,
right? Being in corporate and being afraid. What?
Yeah, and I sometimes I think about our early days of working together, which was over a decade ago, and I almost felt like there was like a cartoonish type of energy swirl in the room that we were we are so synergistic and building on each other. And you know, sometimes what we didn't want as we did this, and we'll talk about what we do want, but is, you know, for people to feel hopeless. Like I felt hopeful when I was with you, and I always felt hopeful that we could address some of these really complex challenges in organizations, but that, gosh damn it, we had to put the truth out there.
Yes. And what I also loved about our interactions, not only when we worked together, but even when we stopped working together and we continued talking, we could always find space to say, even if we can't solve it.
Yeah.
Right? Like sometimes the system's broken.
Well, we only had 45 minutes usually on our calls too.
We
can't solve everything.
Maybe the podcast will help us have more space to solve it. But I feel like we were able to carry each other in the spaces that we couldn't solve or in the difficult times where there wasn't really a resolution. We just had to find a way through it. And I know that that's a lot of what we want to bring out here is helping other people feel brave, helping other people get proximate to these hard truths and the real issues, and no corporate speak, like no corporate talk, just real talk.
I would like to
besties.
Say bullshit.
Yes.
No corporate bullshit.
We will cuss on this episode. Or not, maybe not this episode. Well,
all
the
let's
episodes.
just be honest. I've dropped a couple bombs already.
My mom's going to be like, I can't. She'll be like, Mari, I really love the episode, except for that F-bomb.
That's swearing.
And then I have to send her the article that says that intelligent people cuss.
I know. My mom is used to it now, but it used to be like the face that you and I would do when we're like, are we really hearing this?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is what we do hope is that people will feel validated and that we will be able to navigate some of these really complex challenges together. The whole crux of this is that leadership is lonely. And we heard a lot about that. And human-centered leadership is lonely.
In particular.
Yes.
In particular. The leaders and the change makers and organizations that are really like holding that empathetic weight of the company, who
Yes.
are killing it at their jobs and also
Yeah.
helping the organization be more human,
Right.
that's lonely.
It is very lonely, and it's almost a little bit scary. Like we've talked about of rewriting a playbook that
Mhm.
you've
Mhm.
excelled at.
Mhm.
You've really learned how to. And I think you and I understand that leadership is going to be changing in many ways. And
Mhm.
you and
Yeah.
I are very prolific users of a lot of the technology that is incorporated now into all flows of work. But we also believe that if you're lonely now, just wait, because we know that the skills that are making people feel really lonely right now are going to reemerge. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we want to provide a space where people, what we heard in our market research is people feel validated and they
Yeah.
feel like they're less alone. They have others that are talking about the things that are keeping them up at night and how they navigate the path
Mhm.
forward.
And these are the skills of the future.
They
More
absolutely are.
human-centered leadership, more empathy, more being willing to draw out and read what is going on with someone to be able to get the best out of each other and to
Yeah.
lift each other up. That's what's going to be the way of the future. So we also want this to be a practice ground for
Yes.
bravery in that. And to I know a lot of people are feeling like they need to shy away from that right now, like shy away from the proximity, shy away from speaking out and speaking
Yeah.
truth. And we're here to say, like, no, no, now is not the time to shy away. Now is the time to get louder. Now is the
Yes.
time to lean in. And we're practicing that. We want to be a part of that and model it while also creating a space for other people to do that too.
We also talk about the performative nature that is happening
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
and how it feels like a lot of leaders are performing. And that is something that people are sick of.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Oh,
personally am. I
well, we
we
could see right through
You
it.
can see right through it, especially for us because
Yeah.
we are the signal. Like.
Yeah.
And I was said this the other night when you and I were having dinner. I'm so confused by influencers. Like, I'm so confused because one is going to a different brand, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I thought you liked those gummies.
Right?
Like, I thought those vitamins were serving you. And so,
Now you're drinking a shake?
Yes,
How do you do all
I
these
know.
things
Where
in
do
the
you have
morning?
time in
And
your
you go
belly?
to Starbucks for the protein shot? I don't understand.
How are you so good with makeup?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, so I want us to feel like we can go back to, which is a lighter load. It's less performative. It's
Mhm.
here's who I really am. And most people that are going to be listening to this understand that they are hurting nobody by being themselves.
Oh,
But and
exactly.
they're hurting themselves and the organization by performing.
By performing, by
Yeah.
not just allowing themselves to be authentic. You know what's also interesting about this? I think that I'm excited about this part. I
Okay.
feel like we are so ready for this in the car today. We were both like, burn the bridges down. And I hope you're okay with me saying that because that's what it feels like sometimes to be authentic.
Yes, it
Right?
certainly does.
You start to question whether your own authenticity that you're putting out into the world is somehow going to come back and bite you in the ass.
Right.
And I am so excited for the growth that's going to happen for our listeners and
Yep.
for us as we all start stepping into that authenticity more and
Mhm.
start learning that if it does come back and bite me in the butt, it was for a good reason.
Right.
I didn't
Right.
need it in the first place.
Right.
If it burns a bridge, I didn't want to walk back over it in the first place because it is our authenticity, especially as human centered leaders and change makers, that is going to make the difference in the future of
Yes.
work. And more organizations need what all of us as a collective have to give
Yeah.
because it's been sucked dry
Yeah.
so far.
And I want our listeners to understand that, and I could be saying something totally off key, but there
I will expect it. And so will they.
You're welcome. But it does feel as though this is a group, like myself included, of that is very prone to imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Because you are frequently the one in the room that is saying the things that other people, wish that they could say but didn't. And I've even, I mean, I think you and I are both the type of people who have said things and we walk out of the room and somebody's like, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And it's courageous. It is brave, but it's also for the betterment of getting to a better solution and working together. Like, again, we are not doing anything to harm others. We are saying truths that help move an organization forward. So why the hell does it feel so lonely?
So lonely and so hard.
Yes.
And I was talking to my niece about this podcast last night, and she was like, oh, yes. Because here's the other thing. People are tired of holding those truths in. It's like and I'm sure it's like this not only in corporate America, right? But this is our experience. So
Yes.
This is what we're here to talk about. I'm sure it exists in nonprofit and social
It
enterprises and government and,
yes.
everywhere. It's kind of as a society, we've gotten to a place where we don't say the hard things.
Yes.
And if we are going to say the hard things, somehow it comes out like trash and mean. And so we're trying to find the middle ground. Like, we are not trying to be in a space of being jaded or rude or mean. This is hard truth with empathy.
And support.
Yes. And to say, this isn't about calling out negative people or bad leaders or, getting on a soapbox about how everyone should be. This is about bringing out new insights, new information, asking curious questions, and working together to find a better way forward.
Yes.
Because, and she was saying, my niece, she was like, I love this because I think people are really tired of holding the truth back.
Yeah.
They're tired of seeing.
Weighty.
It's weighty. They're tired of seeing the inhumane ways that people are being treated in the name of results or in the name of business, and having no one say anything, or it only be actually a couple of people that we interviewed said this. Oh yeah, I only talk to my best friend about that. I don't even mention it in the walls of the company.
Right.
I walk outside the doors or turn off my Zoom or whatever.
And that's a signal too.
Right? And somebody else said this too. They were like, it's going to be interesting to see who you find to interview. Mm-hmm. There's a reason we're doing this, the two of us right now. Eventually we will interview people. But they were like, you're going to have to only have people who have exited corporate to interview because it won't feel safe enough for someone to share these truths. And so that is ultimately what we want to do, is create these conversations that help us to feel safe, to name the truth and find a positive and intentional way through it without it needing to be like we're sitting in this messy, it's not a bitch fest.
Yes. No.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I want to make something very clear is you and I both still consult and work with organizations. And so, we also are making space here for leaders, for organizations that are saying we don't want to be like that.
Yes.
And help us to understand how we can shift, because this is, if you haven't done this type of work before, there's people that are very brave right now, but there's people that are like, I want to be like that. Make no mistake. This is very hard work.
It is.
It's very hard work, and we don't think it happens overnight. And, there could be a world where, we are in an organization again, and we have been in organizations where things have gone very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
But I will not lie. Remember, you and I sitting in over the course of recording this for the last couple days, there has been about 7 out of 10 people that are like, I will never go to corporate again because of exactly what you're. So, I mean, this is my data but
the person next to us at the coffee shop, he was like, I had to get out.
I know. And it's a face of relief. But again, I'm hopeful that we can shift our organizations to be a place where individuals that lead the way that our listeners are and or want to be will thrive again.
Yes. Eventually, the goal here is like step 1, creating this space with all of you to find safety in being the brave and proximate leaders and change makers inside organizations. And then, we work with organizations that are willing and ready to start creating the environments that support that. And to your point, it isn't easy. It's not easy for individuals. It's not easy for an organization. It's not easy for some leaders to accept what needs to be true in order for it to be possible. Yeah. But I hope that both through the podcast and anything else that comes from it, that we can make it feel less lonely.
Yes.
That we can help people feel validated in the difficulty, validated in what they are seeing and experiencing. And together we can find some creative ways through it. And we'll talk about this a lot in the podcast. We won't always have a full solution to a problem.
That we would be very rich if we had all of the solutions.
We would.
I mean, maybe there's not, I don't know how many organizations are ready for it, but yes.
Well, that's true. But we may not always have a solution, but one of the things that we want to help with is creating that sense of safety and that sense of togetherness so that even if it's hard, especially when it's hard, we're still willing to step into that brave proximity. We're still willing to do the hard thing and be here to like hold each other up when maybe one day I'm not going to take a step forward. Like maybe one day I'm going to just like sit it out for a minute because I need to take a break.
It's community too. And it is like, there was a leader that was so upset that their team needed validation. And I thought, at the humanist level, do you understand? You want validation too. And then a lot of myself was like, I think you need lots of therapy. But people want validation. And we were hearing that. And you are right. We are a community. We are a movement. We are trying to remind, ourselves that keep pushing along. You'll hear us say it is don't retract. Move forward with a sense of purpose around getting close to one another, establishing trust in those very human ways. And again, we understand that what we're driving towards is a successful organization. All of the things that we talk about here are in pursuit of creating the best culture to drive the best performance, to drive the best customer client, experience. And we truly believe that. We came from places like we both didn't grow up in HR, and maybe we talk a little bit about that, about our experience. And so we have a very different lens of what value looks like, very much aligned with what good, people practices look like.
Well, and we talk about this in some of the episodes, but the importance of doing both well, doing the what of your job, exceeding expectations, doing the damn thing as well as you can, while also showing other people in the organization how empathetic, human-centered leadership enables you to do your job better. That's the goal.
It is.
The goal isn't only to spout and talk about why we should be more human-centered and we should be connective. Like that feels like fluff. But what we really want is the true mechanics behind how that human-centered leadership actually makes a difference in business, because that's what's going to move the needle. I have grown very tired of needing to convince organizations or convince leadership teams why empathy or validation or saying good job is the right thing to do. I have found more success in and also more personal interest in showing them.
What
Let's
good looks like.
Show them what good looks like. That's how I work with my clients too. I'm like, you do not have to like be on a pulpit and a soapbox like, yay, rah, telling everyone what they need to be doing. Show them. Show them through your success what great looks like. And that's what we want to help other people do more of, is get your spotlight for the value that you're providing to the organization, because it is meaningful and it is better than simply getting results.
And it carries through to these days, everybody, and it's hard truth. Sorry if people are like, what? You better be preparing your elevator pitch on why you are marketable. Because we are in a day of complete uncertainty, and our listeners and our community here, you are highly marketable. Learn how to talk about yourself in the ways that we are saying matter. You get shit done, but you also do it in a way that inspires, motivates, engages, and builds trust, and get that narrative real tight. I also want to emphasize that I'm so excited about the ability to learn from our community. And we will share a lot and we will talk about things, but we'll also be learning together. And I think one of the things that you and I have always prided ourselves on is we are just very curious beings. And so exactly. So through this, we'll find some avenues to be able to create connection and communication with you all, because we have our pet peeves. So we're going to have a little elephant, and we're going to share the elephants on the table, the elephants in the room, about these hard truths of corporate America in existence. But
but we also want to hear what your pet peeves are. What are the elephants that you're dealing with? Because we're big, big believers that all of this work gets better when it isn't just two people in a room talking. So we're going to figure out those avenues. We don't know yet. We're doing this imperfectly. Like, you're going to see us talk about like failing fast and a lot of growth mindset. Like, we do not know what we're doing, but we're doing the best that we can.
But we're doing the best that we can. Yeah. I mean, maybe let's talk about the show flow and what they can expect. Because we thought a lot about this, and we thought about how we wanted to give the listeners something brief and something that was digestible and something solution oriented. So, every episode will start with a pretty provocative one-liner, and that will be a segue into what we just talked about, is what our pet peeve is. When you see this come out, when you see this little elephant here, that is the pet peeve. That's the elephant in the room. And all of us here are likely the ones who are unafraid, or maybe who want to bring the elephant out to the table. And so we'll bring that out, and then you talk about what happens after the elephant's out.
Then once we put the elephant on the table, we've created some safety. We're going to share stories about why that elephant exists, like dig a little bit underneath. What we started to talk about as we were brainstorming the way to do this is it wasn't enough to just put the truth on the table. We wanted to really be able to have conversations that peel the layers back to get more at why does that exist inside the organization? What are we really dealing with at the root of the issue? So we're going to share stories that help us do that, and then really try to articulate and name the underlying issue so that we can get closer to that mess. And so that we can really be brave enough to sit with it and to feel how it makes us feel, and then find our way through it with, do you want to talk about the shift?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about, then we reframe it. And again, I want to emphasize that it is not the answer. It's another holistic discussion that provides opportunities, ideas, thoughts of how maybe we reframe a situation, how we lean into our strengths of being brave, wanting to be more proximate, wanting to feel less lonely. Like, how do we live that out in a way that really, suits ourselves, that becomes our truth? And so we'll always end with what are some shifts. That's also where we would love to have a lot of audience participation. And we're only two brains. And so what do you think could be a proper shift forward? So then this becomes a collective of information, intellect, practice that people can get something from and move forward in a way that demonstrates. Somebody said the other day is, I'm ready to get brave and proximate.
I love it. Yes, that's what we want.
But I also think it's important that we talk about what you don't get. And I know this term has come up a lot, like toxic positivity. You probably already know that we're not going to err on the side of toxic positivity, but we want to be fair too, right? We've had, let's be honest, we've had good, we've had bad, we've had ugly experiences. We've learned from them. We take them as learnings. But there is no part of us that wants to come across as Pollyanna or toxic positivity.
Yeah, definitely not. And we definitely don't want to come across as corporate speak. Like, we even talked about how are we going to have a flag for each other? Like, when you start to go into the, like, I tend to do it more because I come from a corporate communications background where I spent years writing press releases and coaching leaders on how to communicate effectively and with professionalism. And so every once in a while I'll feel it like turn on, and I'm like, oh my God, the corporate speak is happening.
So it's poltergeist in you.
It is. So we're going to raise the red flag and like hold ourselves to true real talk, like two friends would in the, at the water cooler or in the closed door office.
It was usually happy hour.
That's true.
Or a walk. We did do a lot of walks together. But again, outside of the confines of the corporate space.
Yes.
Hopefully there wasn't microphones chasing us around.
Well, now there will be. We're going to tape happy hour next.
But I also think it's important for our listeners to gut check us too, is to say, hey, here's what I'd like more of, or I want you to rip that apart a little bit more. I want you to dive deeper into it, or here's what I see that you missed. And so this is an interactive opportunity to shape this as well.
Yeah. I wonder if we should share a little bit, like a couple minutes each on our background. Like, who we are. 'Cause,
Yes.
I think we already feel like they're friends.
I know we do.
And in many ways, we hope our friends are all listening, but there will also be people who don't know us. So, Suze, tell me like the two-liner. What about you?
Well, I am a salesperson, sales leader turned HR leader, and I think that's really important because I believe that my root of brave proximity came from the lens of a customer. And when you are an HR leader, you are serving, you do not forget that you are running a business, you are serving a customer. And so I think a lot of times when I surface things that might have felt uncomfortable truths before, it was saying, I mean, what's in it for me as a user? If I'm going to take 5 days to do a 9 box and you're not going to do anything with it, then
what's the point?
Yeah, don't
Let's
do
not
it. Don't do it. So I just want listeners to know that my lens is not growing up in HR, and so I really look at it as how we serve our client and customer the best in a way that, and market. Like, how do we market this and drive a truck through it if it is really meaningful?
Yeah, I love that so much. And my background, so I started out in PR, all the PR agencies, communication, press releases, in big pharma. So spin, spin, spin. And then found my way into human resources because of a CEO who said, okay, I know you can communicate more empathetically than that. Like he was like, you're the one who can help us tell a story in a human-centered way for our organization that was extremely purpose-centered. And that was when my love for this idea of helping employees to find meaning in their work, to find purpose in their work, and feel connected, yes, to the business, connected to what we're delivering to customers, but also connected to the value that they can bring to an organization. And so for the past 10 years, that's been the focus of my career, is doing that in-house at organizations and also now consulting with clients and organizations that really want to create meaningful and purposeful experiences for their employees. Because we all go to work all day, many hours a day. And if it doesn't have like a more centered meaning to it, why are we doing it? Like, what is the point? So that's where also I would say from a brave proximity standpoint, when I made that switch from corporate communications, which was very external, very buttoned up, very tight and specific, and I came in-house to start communicating with employees more, it was all about proximity. It was all about understanding what makes people tick and being brave enough to push to say the harder things in a more human way. And so,
well, and I want to give ourselves both credit. I think sometimes, especially women, we do not talk about some of our biggest accomplishments. And I want to say, for me and you working together, I believe that through our own superpowers, and we had a dynamic teams around us and a wonderful CEO, but we created one of the most differentiated cultures in biotech that was a draw for talent. It kept people there, and we did amazing things. So we really believe that culture is a strategic imperative for an organization, and we've been able to create that in multiple organizations that have been very profitable.
Well, and I think that's the other piece of this is we had our training ground doing it in-house with one organization, but then once you figure it out, once you actually learn what it looks like in practice to build a meaningful culture, like there's a lot of lip service to culture,
a lot of lip
right?
service.
Values posted on walls, people walking around doing the wrong things anyway. But once you actually learn what it takes and what it looks like to hit the mark on it, it's not always easy inside the organization, but for us as people sharing that knowledge, it is easy to pinpoint how to do it and to teach other organizations how to do it. And I am really proud that we've been able to take those learnings and share it with more people. And that's the goal, right? The goal is that we don't just stay inside boxes and only do it for a small number of people. The goal here is that through the podcast, through the work that we do, we're helping more and more individuals and organizations find the capacity to do really amazing cultures that drive the success of an organization.
Yes. And I will say this is I think it is a very it's a capability that I hold very dear, and I do think that there's people that are really good at it, but I also think that we are very good at it, and we continue to learn, and we continue to build our craft and our capability to stay true to the dynamic of the environment. So the things that we did, 10 years ago, we have elevated ourselves in very meaningful ways.
Yes.
But
the secret sauce.
But our secret sauce, yeah. And so I guess what if we do this, because we're coming to the close of the episode, is maybe we say one commitment to listeners that each of us promise that they will get from this.
I love that. And while you think about your answer, I just want to say one more thing.
Do it. Get it in there, girl.
The future.
Yes.
So one of the things that Susan and I have always loved connecting on, and that I think doesn't get enough airtime inside organizations today, and we want to create more space for through the podcast, is what's coming, what's emerging, what don't we know yet, but is right around the corner.
Yeah.
And we're people very willing to go taking a giant look about what is coming around the corner. And we are not going to be shy about bringing that into the conversation.
Yep.
Now, there's a lot of people right now that feel like, oh my God, AI's... I can feel the covers of the bed coming over leaders' heads.
Yes.
They're like, AI is coming. I don't know what to do with technology.
You figure it out. You figure it out.
Exactly. I'm going to hide. I'm going to hide under the covers over here and it'll go away. We are not hiding under the covers. And not only that, but I think one of our superpowers is that curiosity and that willingness to ask the questions. And we want to bring that here too, to help you see what's coming around the corner and help you feel brave enough to take the covers off. I mean, not all of them, but take the covers off.
It depends.
And see what's happening.
Yes.
Okay, so what's your promise?
No, I love that. I mean, this is my, this is the only thing that I've been doing my entire life, is I promise to name the things that others will avoid.
Ooh, I love it. And I promise to continue to find empathy within that truth.
Yes.
I feel like that's a bit of our yin and yang. I do think I'm still learning how to be as bold as you are in naming the truths. But I know I'm really, really good at holding the space for what sits underneath them.
Which is exactly why you and I are doing this together.
Exactly.
So I think
because if I only did it, we'd be it'd be watery, and if you did it, it'd be boom.
I know, people would be like, I'm not that. She's like a drill sergeant. But I actually am not. And again, that's why. Thank you again for listening. We wanted to do this first episode to give you more insight of who we were, but more importantly, what you can expect, because this is about you as listeners, what you're getting, and we're gonna flow with you. We are imperfect, but we're loving it.
Yeah. Oh, we're totally loving it. And we can't wait to hear what you think about it. In every show note, we're going to put our LinkedIn, social media. Gotta stick with it. But you can find us on social media. Tell us what you think. Give us your ideas. We're maybe in the future going to find... This phone's here because we want you to feel like you can call us, but we don't have a way for you to do that yet.
It's clearly connected right now, but no, stay tuned. I think that'll be a nice ad.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to being on the journey with you.
Yep. We'll see you soon.